Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Invictus Racing League No Assist Championship, and welcome from a very, very warm Oxfordshire at the moment. Sab, how are you feeling up there in Chesterfield?
Very sticky, and I feel like I've melted 3 times. It's incredibly hot, isn't it?
It really is. So, yep, these guys tonight have got a bit of an ordeal. As you can see, we are here at Belgium, the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Another one, and we've made it pretty much five in a row to start the season with iconic circuits, and this possibly maybe the iconic circuit on the F1 calendar.
Yeah, I agree. You've got so many famous corners, probably as many famous corners as say Silverstone has with Eau Rouge, and you've got the Kemmel Straight and down to the bus stop chicane, just to name a few. It's an incredible race circuit, and it's going to be proving a real challenge for these guys tonight to tackle this and get through it without being in any incidents. It should be a good race tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, it's one of those tracks that weather conditions can always come into play. The Ardennes Forest almost has its own sort of nice microclimate that the guys will have to deal with this evening. So you can find you start the race in one condition and end it in completely the complete flip side of that. So yeah, hopefully these guys have tested themselves out in the rain because it is one of those circuits that can really, really bite you. And equally, it's one of the longest race distances of the calendar for these guys. So in this heat tonight, for at least for the British drivers, and obviously I'm sure the likes of Schofield will be nice and chilled out over in Sweden, but the Brits will have to really work for this one.
Yes, definitely. You've got to always have 100% concentration around here, haven't you, around Spa, and to have the distraction of the really dry, dead heat what we've got here in the UK is not going to be ideal for any of the UK drivers. So they've got a slight disadvantage compared to anybody else who's not got this current mini heat wave as the UK has just picked up. So it's the likes of Scott Boy Better Know and Lt Thompson and a few others. They're gonna have a tough evening, I think. Not only on track but off track as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But we hope you are enjoying your bank holiday. Of course, if you live in the UK, you'll be enjoying a bank holiday off of work this eve or today and into this evening. So we hope you've enjoyed a really sunny weekend and you're ready for some racing. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're racing on F1 2019. On Thursdays, on GT Sport, and now on Sundays too. So plenty of racing here at Invictus. So you'll be able to get your teeth into some fantastic racing as it looks like the admin has just started to ready up the session. So we will be going to track very shortly, and just a few stats about, of course, the famous Spa-Francorchamps circuit. As I said, a blast and place right smack bang into the middle of the Ardennes Forest, and a really, really beautiful circuit. And it's a track length of just over 7 kilometers. It's the longest track of the year. That's 4.35 miles. Distance to turn one, quite short, of course, from the run from the green all the way down to La Source. It's 265 meters. That longest straight is from La Source to Les Combes. If you add in Radion and Eau Rouge, it almost counts as 1.2 miles, just over 2 kilometers. So yeah, down to the breaking point at turn 5 at Les Combes can be an absolute heart stopper. If you see, especially on the opening lap, we're expecting to see some fireworks from the guys around here. Top speed the guys will be bouncing around is around 360 k's, just around 220 to 225 miles an hour on the approach to Les Combes. Just fractionally under what we see at Monza, which of course is the Grand Prix we will be seeing in 2 weeks' time. Full throttle, 70% of the lap. Quite a high percentage on the throttle around here, of course. Lots of straights for the guys to be doing, especially on the exit of Paul Frere through Blanchimont up to the bus stop chicane. ERS demands around here low because there are quite a few heavy braking zones, so you can recover the energy around here. So as long as you're not running in high or overtake from the majority of the lap, you should be able to recover back quite a lot of that battery power through the heavy braking zones. Gear changes 48 over the lap distance. That is 2,112 over the race.
Some stats there. We're just loading up now to qualifying. It's going to be interesting to see. We all know how how random the weather can be here at Spa. So it'd be fascinating to see shortly what sort of conditions the guys will be challenging themselves on around here in the maybe in the wet, in the dry for qualifying. If it is the wet, it's going to be adding even more difficulties for the UK drivers. Not making excuses for them, but I imagine right now they'll be praying for dry, and it looks to me like it is pretty dry. So far so good for those guys. I think everybody in general will be very happy to see a dry Spa, because a wet Spa is something completely different, isn't it?
That is a real animal and a half if you have to tackle, especially that first time down through Radion and Eau Rouge can really settle your or make you have to settle your nerves after you get onto the Kemmel Straight, because yeah, it is rather scary for that one. But yep, it is blue skies here above the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, and it is going to be the Mercedes who heads out onto track first. Now we'll see, is it Boy Better Know? It is. So it's your reigning champion. He will be, as usual, as we like to see from Scott, he's usually one of the ones that goes out on track first. Orange and blue helmet adorns the side of his or the orange blue colours adorning the sides of his helmet. He now travels down to open up this lap, and what we'll do is we'll sit on board with Scott here as he travels around the first lap. So it's round Radion through Eau Rouge, now onto the Kemmel Straight, the first DRS zone of the lap. Scott just slowly weaving the car side to side, getting a little bit of temperature into those tyres. Now it's up to Les Combes at turn 5. It's a quick flick right then left into Malmedy, and now down into turn 7, nicely towards Rivage at turn 8. Very easy to get this corner wrong. That curbing on the right hand side can really unbalance the car, so make sure you keep it away from that. Now into No Name and roll out of that corner at turn 9. Now it's down to Pouon, one of the most famous left-handers in F1, almost flat out depending on how you take it. So Pouon just goes on forever and ever and ever. That left-hander now plunges down towards turn 12 and turn 13 at Fane. And turn 13, of course, Fane corner here. And now it's down to Stavelot at turn 14. Scott just weaving side to side, getting the tyres ready. Of course, he's on the softest compound of rubber. Now into Paul Frere, and it's the blast all the way up the hill, climbing. Use as much battery power as you can up here through Blanchemont at turn 16 and turn 17. Now we come in towards the bus stop. Of course, back in the day you used to go left, this time you go right. So braking down for the bus stop chicane. It's a quick right and then left. Scott kicks out the rear end ever so slightly there. That shouldn't hinder him too much, and he starts his flying lap.
Nicely run through there. It just shows you, doesn't it, like we said earlier in the broadcast, the amount of incredibly famous and iconic corners this circuit has. Like you say, one of the most iconic race circuits on the calendar. I've just been looking at the tyres everybody's fitted so far. There's just a couple stayed in the pits at the minute, but majority of people going out on the red soft tyres, with Agilocdot out on the mediums, and Speed Queen, who she's just come back in. She had a sighter lap on the hards, and she's back into the pit lane with Ferrari. So maybe just testing out the circuit to see how it feels.
Oh, Scott getting out onto the grass there at turn 7, kicked the rear end of the Mercedes out, so that's going to cost him a few tenths of a second there. We'll see if he sticks with this lap, because he probably lost a little bit of time there, more than he would have hoped. Of course, plenty of time left in the session to get things done. We've got a yellow in sector 3, possibly a slow car, as it's cleared quickly. Now into Pouon. Oh, Scott really having to wrestle the rear end of that Mercedes around the left-hander, and the back end wanting to step out on him, but he just about holds on to it there. So nicely done. Now into Fane corner at turn 12 and turn 13. Heavy braking zone there for Stavelot. And of course, now this is what I've said on the last lap. You really kick it up into top gear, whack everything up to full, and power it up that hill. You want to get as much traction as possible. And this is where the downforce levels these guys will be running can really make the difference. Because of course, although you do have these fast corners, you do want the car to be relatively planted to the ground.
Yes, most definitely. And talking of planted to the ground, CPI Alex starting his first flying lap round the first corner was pretty much like Fast and Furious. It was almost sideways round that corner. Not a good start for him. He's now trying to catch up for the rest of his lap. He's keeping it planted for now, but I think he'll obviously be able to go quicker later on, but not a good opening lap for CPR. As both the Mercedes guys jump up there straight away with with FPL Charlie ahead of his teammate Scott just for now.
Yeah, of course. It looks like that Charlie must have had a much cleaner lap compared to M Doran. As opposed to Scott. Sorry, looking at the list there, as opposed to obviously Scott ran out wide on the exit of turn 7, so Charlie has that 9/10 advantage over his teammate. Charlie, of course, on the podium last time for the first time this season, and I'm sure he'll be looking at making it a double as we go into our season break, and we've got a 1 week break next week for the guys to go out. As Nick Lt Thompson almost hitting the wall there on the exit of turn 9 at no name. But just about holds on to it. But Nick, he's back after missing last week's race, and he'll be looking at retaking the lead in Tier 2. He's been very impressive so far this season.
Yeah, he's had a good first debut season, hasn't he? In no assists, he's been very consistent. And I think at times, you probably agree with me. At times, he's been unlucky not to pick up a podium. His strategy, his strategy call, he's been pretty much bang on every time. He was very unlucky in Austria, so he'll be hoping for more of the same tonight, and possibly even go better if he can get the strategy calls right. He's just coming down to bus stop now. What can Nick do for his first lap? He's nice and oh no, he's bailed out of it. So no first lap there for Nick. So he must have made a mistake through that lap, and Nick's back into the pit lane.
Just got on board with White Fountain with the Belgian flags. Colours on his helmet, of course, the black, the yellow and the red, but he was kicking the rear end, something special coming out of turn 13, so that's going to cost him a little bit of time. But White Fountain will look to win his home race tonight, and of course he was the winner last week, and it was our first double race winner of the season, of course. As he's going to just about get it slowed down into the bus stop chicane there, but he's going to come across the line. He's going to lost a whole heap of time, and it's a 1:45, yeah, so a little bit too hasty possibly over the end of that lap, and he's cost himself quite a bit of time.
Yeah, he possibly just pushing a little too hard there, wasn't he? And he knows he'll be able to go quicker. But yeah, talking about his last week's race briefly, how mega it was from him to claim that victory. The strategy call was absolutely bang on, starting P11, and then that little bit of rain giving him some luck towards the end when he was on those fresh, soft tyres. So he'll be hoping to build on that momentum and possibly not start so far down and make it as difficult for him. If he can get himself back up amongst the top 5 where he reckons he should be, he'll have an even better chance of winning tonight and carrying that form what he had in Brazil. So work to be done at the moment for White Fountain. He knows that, but at the minute, not many lap times been set, is there? There's only 7 lap times been set, and a lot of people either giving up on lap times or just not getting the right traction or setup. So still work to be done by a lot of people.
Yeah, and although we've been wrong with this prediction so far this season, but what do you notice about the tyre selection, Sab?
Yeah, they're all softs, aren't they?
They are.
The last time we predicted this, we thought it was going to be wet, and look what happened. So it could happen again, where we could be completely wrong. But like you say, do they know something we don't at the minute? And is it a case of trying to get as far up that grid as possible for the anticipation of a wet race? I personally hope it'll be a wet race, because if we get a wet race, you never know what's going to happen. It's pretty much up in there for anybody to win. So be interested to see whether they just don't fancy the medium or hard tyres around here. They just don't give the performance. I don't know. But at the minute, it's everybody's just favouring that soft tyre, aren't they? It's even Speed Queen has given up now, and she's straight onto the soft tyre. And Adlockdock, he also went out on the medium tyre. Now he's out on the soft tyre. So nobody really fancying those medium and hards.
Yeah, be interesting to see what we do get. And we were talking about how tricky it can be as Beck 9000 goes up onto the second rotor grid. 4th place for him. It's a 1:44.5. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we do get at the start of the race. We were saying how tricky conditions are here in the rain, and it might be exactly what we're about to see, and in about 8 minutes and 35 seconds time, as we finish up qualifying with guys probably with enough time for 2 more flying laps if they so wish, with Speed Queen coming up to the bus stop chicane now. She bails out of that one, so Speed Queen yet to set a lap. We've got SJD, he's just started the lap there. He's just gone through O'Rouge. He's now onto the Kemmel Straight. We'll catch up with Dragio, who's come out of Stavelo, so now he is up Paul Frere and through Blanchimont. Can Dragio set a first time? Down in 16th at the moment, last of the runners to set, or having not set a time in the McLaren. What can he do? Is into the bus stop chicane, sticks with the lap, and Dragio is going to come across the line. It's going to be in the 46s. It puts him into 10th position and currently last 0.3 of a second behind CPI Alex.
Yeah, he'll want to obviously go much quicker than that. He'll see his teammate M. Doran up there in second place currently, and he'll not want to be that far off his teammates. So work to be done for Dragio. Nick, he's out there now flying lap, and Sam and SJD. So there's many guys now who haven't done lap times now on their way to setting their first lap time. Speed Queen, the only person at the minute, sat in the pit lane. So work there to be done for Speed Queen. Maybe it's a setup thing, I don't know. We've got SJD coming down to the bus stop chicane now. What can he do? Is he going to finish off the lap, or is he going to abandon it? He's coming round, he's going to finish off the lap. Where is this going to put SJD on his first run? SJD goes 6th, so not a bad first lap for SJD there. He can work on that, and he'll be hoping he can go slightly bit better and push for that top 5.
We have to mention Zyman 118. He's put himself up onto the second row of the grid, and he's currently on a 44.3. So Zyman, of course, having rejoined the league. He had he's had good qualifying in Japan when he rejoined, and once again looks like he's enjoying a quick lap as Charlie sets an even faster time. He's done a 43.5, nice. So great lap from Charlie in the Mercedes there. He's 0.3 of a second ahead of M. Doran. Sammy the Pitto is going to come across the line. What can the Spaniard do? He puts himself up onto the front row. It's a 43.7. Great lap there from Sam, and we've seen Sam on the podium several times already this season, and once again he's showing like he's got the pace this evening.
Yeah, and wasn't it strange not to see him on the podium at the end? He nearly stole it, didn't he, across the finish line, similar to what happened in MotoGP yesterday. And unfortunately for him, he had that 3-second time penalty and knocked him down to 4th. So he'll be wanting to rectify that and put himself back on the front. Schofield has just jumped up, his teammate, Sam's teammate, he's just jumped up to 4th place. So once again, both the Haas guys looking very strong around here, and once again you'd expect them to be fighting at the front.
Adri locked up, puts himself up into the top 10. He's currently in 7th. Was put himself up into 5th, I believe. Was dropped down immediately by Scope and Simon. As Meg Lugby now coming up to end his lap, but he bails out that one. He's currently sitting in 8th position. We'll go on board with MJ Coop, who is just gone through No Name. He's coming up to Pouon. We haven't been on board with MJ Coop. Had a disastrous race last week. He's gone majorly wide at Pouon there, and it's really going to cost him time, probably invalidate it there. So he's down on a 1:58, so not competitive time so far for Coop. So he'll be looking at setting a better lap with 4 minutes and 50 seconds left. He's got time to come in, but it's going to be a nervy time for Coop because he's going to have one more chance of setting that time.
Yeah, and I was just on board with Boy Better Know, and he looks like he abandoned his lap. He was down at Paul Frere and kicked the back end out big time, and it forced him off the track pretty much, and he ran wide and allowed M. Doran to come through. M. Doran didn't finish his lap off, as we've got Nick. Nick's gone off at the pit entrance. Nick has gone off at the pit entrance and completely smashed his front wing up. It's a good job he's done it there. He's luckily not took the wheel off, but not much left of that front right wing there. He's had a moment coming back into the pit lane, so luckily for him, that wasn't just after the pit lane. He's had to drive the whole lap round slowly to make sure he gets back round. So a small incident there for Nick. So luckily just at the pit lane, so he can get himself back in, sort himself out and get going again. But a little moment there for Nick. I don't know what happened. He was in the grass and facing the barriers. So yeah, hopefully he can recover from that.
just in the right place for Nick, making that mistake, of
Yeah.
course, as you say. So not too much to worry about. Can be a quick fix in the pit lane. He will have time to come out and set another lap. But we've got almost everyone in the pit lane with 3.5 minutes left to go. Only White Fountain's out on circuit at the moment, but it doesn't feel like he's going at full pace. I may be wrong, but it feels like he's just coasting a little bit through Stavelo there. But it's going to be a pretty busy circuit by the looks of it in about a minute's time, because we've got 4 cars on an outlap now. You've got Dragio, Scott, Beck 9000 and Meg all on their outlaps, but I'd imagine that we're going to see everyone else. As you can see them, the lap counters on the tyre life clicking down to 0, which means we've got cars setting or putting a new set of tyres on, so everyone is on 0 apart from White Fountain, of course, is just coming into the box now. So I'd expect to see a whole heap of cars coming out the pit lane, and just as we're on board with White Fountain, you can see every single car coming out of the garage, what it felt like, in a row there. So the track is about to get very, very busy.
Oh yes, isn't it just? I'm just on board with Boy Better Know again. This is pretty much all or nothing lap now for him. He's on his out lap again. He's down in 13th. That's not good enough for what he expects. He's going to want to go up much better than that. At least top 5 for Boy Better Know, especially seeing his teammate FPL Charlie currently first. So this is pretty much it for Scott. If he needs to nail this upcoming hot lap, what he's about to do. So a lot of pressure on Scott about to start his new flying lap. He's coming up to the bus stop now, so it's all or nothing for him in the Mercedes.
Yeah, absolutely is. And Mini Scotty 25, Scott's little fan club, is watching the stream tonight. Good evening, guys. Hope you're keeping Scott happy and giving him all the motivation he needs, because sitting in 13th, come on, Scotty, you need to do better than that one. You're going to have to really push hard in the race if you're going to do any better than last week. So yeah, it's going to be a real test for Scott to see if he can set that lap. He's got a little bit of a gap to claim between himself and his teammate, of course, leading in qualifying with provisional pole FPL Charlie sitting on that 43.5. Sammy Pito in second place at 43.7. M. Doran, another good qualifying from the McLaren driver at 43.8, and he sits ahead of Scopefielder to round out the second row on a 43.9.
There's quite a bit of traffic for Scott. I'm riding on board with him now, and he's had to get past Beck 9000 and White Fountain, I think it was, the Renault. He's at no name now. He's slightly up in the first sector, but it's not looking tidy for Scott at the moment, and he's run very wide even round Pouhon. So, and he's backed off. He's backed off from it, so he must have invalidated that lap. He's probably not even going to get any time now to get back round for another lap with just 25 seconds on the clock. So I think that is it for Scott. It's been a bit of a disaster for him in qualifying, unfortunately. He's going to be at 13th at worst, I'd say, at the minute. It could go down to 14th, 15th, or even 16th. So disaster for him in qualifying.
Just on board with Meg Luppy, who looked like he just lost the car at the exit, and No Name was pointing in the wrong direction, sliding backwards and rear wing into the wall. Looks like there's no damage, but time has now expired on the session, so that is it most likely for Meg and for Scott. So Scott will be starting outside of the top 10. We've got yellow in sector 3. We're on board with Simon 118 at the moment, coming up to Pouhon, and he takes it nicely, runs out slightly wide there, and it's one of the tracks that really is rather inconsistent with its penalties as in regards to track extensions. So we'll see what happens at the end of the lap, whether Simon will be punished for that one. But now coming up to Stavelo, turn 14 into Poulfret, turn 15. And of course, just on the right hand side is an absolutely brilliant karting track there. If you ever get a chance to go to Spa, check out the karting track. And yeah, now hammering up through turn 16 into turn 17 at Blanchemont. A real feat of aerodynamic power, these cars through Blanchemont and down into the Bus Chicane. Simon up in 5th position at the moment. Can he improve, getting himself up onto the first 2 rows? The Renault comes across the line. He doesn't improve. So he crosses the line with a 1:44.1 as his best lap time. We're on board here with Scopefielder. Scopefielder currently sitting in 4th position as Doran jumps up onto the front row with 43.7. Can Scope spoil the party for FPL Charlie? Comes into the bus stop. He's going to be one of the last drivers to cross the line. And the Swede, Powerink's going to be very close. Is he going to do it? He does! Yes. It's a 43.595. Exactly the same time as FPL Charlie. And I think and well, it's where's the next decimal? Because we'll find out. Because I'm pretty sure the rules state that the person that sets it first should get it. So that's a little bit unfair on Charlie. But how close can you get? You can't get any closer.
No, you could not fit paper through that gap, could you? It is... what a lap that was from Scopefield. I was just about to say before Scopefield did that, super qualifying again from Doran. He's dropped down 1 place, but 3rd. He's proving to be a handy qualifier, isn't he? Now he's picked up a good qualifying position there, 3rd, and if he can have a good race, he could be a threat to FPL Charlie and Scopefield. But yeah. What do you do with those 2 at the front? Like you say, I feel really sorry for Charlie, because he's the one who set that lap time first, and he's the one demoted down.
What a fantastic end to qualifying. And there you go. Scopefielder takes pole position by a time of nothing to FPL Charlie. Those 2 split by 0.000 recurring on at the moment. Doran 1.1 of a second behind them. He does well in 3rd position. Sam in 4th with Agilokdok doing very nicely for himself up into 5th place. The Spaniard enjoying that quick lap time. Zyman is in 6th position with Nick. Good qualifying from Nick in 7th. Alex is in 8th. Meg in 9th. Speed Queen, White Fountain, Beck, SJD, Boy Better Know, Dragio, and MJ Coop. So some real shocks in that one. That was a great qualifying lap from Agilokdok too.
Yeah, it was. He's shown he's got some good pace as we see. There we go. We've been proven wrong once again. It is pure blue skies and not much of a cloud in sight. So clearly, like we said earlier, it just must be a case of these guys just not liking those medium and hard tyres. So it'd be interesting to see if there's anybody going for maybe a 2-stop. I don't know if that'd be too slow around here, but everybody. The top 10, I should say, on the soft tyres. Be interested to see what the guys on the outside, the top 10, do. Like Boy Better Know, will he go longer into the race and try and do an overcut and try and make up places like that? But like you say, Agilokdok had a super qualifying. So did Doran, who we kind of expect to do well in qualifying these days. So we could have a good battle at the front at the start of the race.
Yeah, it should be a real fun one. And as we were saying, they really did put us to shame with that prediction, with thinking it was a wet race, and just teased us with everyone going out on the softs. And that shows how competitive these guys are. They all wanted pole position. Clearly there was no one thinking, I'll go for that reverse strategy and sacrifice a little bit of lap time. Everyone on the softs. Just to quickly, as these guys settle or get their strategy and their setups correct, it's the standings, Tier 1. So Tier 1 are the guys that are running fully no assist. Of course, in the no assist, we do allow racing lines. So they go into, they get 4 less points. And Tier 1 is GP1 Alex is leading that one. Scopefielder is in 2nd, 1 point behind. Scott is in 3rd, equal on points with Sammy the Pitto. So they're 3 points behind, with White Fountain 5 point behind on 43. So the top 5 split by 5 championship points. Wow. And then you've got FPL Charlie, Speed Queen are only 12 and 13 back. So really, there are potentially 7 cars that, leaving Belgium, could be leading the championship if results go their way.
Yeah, that's ridiculously close, isn't it? As the lights go out for the formation lap and Scopefield will be leading about Charlie, I can imagine he's quite envious and a bit frustrated to be seeing that black and gold Haas leading the formation round. Seems as if he was the one who set that fast lap first, but he's just got to forget about that now, hasn't he, and focus on reclaiming that place in the race. As we know, you don't get points for qualifying, so it's all to take there for him in the race. Can he unsettle Schofield, or are they going to have a titanic battle tonight? And being as quick and as close as they are, can we have a quick and close race between them throughout the whole race? And hopefully no incidents as well. It's going to be really fascinating. As you've got M. Doran as well. You can't count him out really in that McLaren. He'll be keeping a close eye on the front too, hoping they make a mistake or leave the door open somewhere for him to have a go at one of these two for a second or even potentially first place. So plenty of different drivers to keep an eye on at the start of this race.
Yeah, as Charlie pulls up alongside Scope as they get towards No Name. Is there a little bit of mind games going on between the Mercedes, and he's shadowing that Haas car very closely, just letting you know, I'm there, don't worry. We set exactly the same time in qualifying, so you're going to have to beat me on pure pace and consistency, because if they can set the same lap time in qualifying, they're going to be ridiculously even matched in this race. But like you said, can't count out the likes of Emdora and Sammy Lopito. And then equally, I can't wait to see a charging Scott from 14th position on the grid. He's got a lot of work to do, and we've seen Scott fight back through the field several times. And so yeah, 14th position, he's got some work to do, but it is going to be Schofield that's going to lead everyone around and weaving side to side. Charlie, and not actually doing that much work of his tyres at the moment, so possibly might have a slight disadvantage when they get to La Source, the first lap. Of course, these guys will be sitting on the grid for a little bit of time waiting for the cars to form up. But yeah, it's going to be a fascinating one, and I cannot wait to see what we get going down the Kemmel Straight as the cars slowly start to form up. And in fact, they're so close together; these two are phasing into each other as they come onto the grid. So that shows how close you can be. As we now pull into their designated grid slots, and we start the 6th round of the Invictus Racing League No Assist Championship, and it's going to be a real cracker. Forming up.
Yes, and just quickly before the lights go, outside the top 10, they're all on mediums apart from Boy Better Know, who's gone for the soft. So Boy Better Know hoping to jump guys early on. But here we go.
The red lights are on. We're on 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Pause out and off, and it's a good start from Scopefielder. Charlie a little bit slow off the line. Scopefielder races up into the lead. What do they do down to turn 1? M. Doran gets ahead of Charlie into La Source and into turn 1. It's a great move from there. There's a little bit of contact behind. It looks like Beck 9000 might have been knocked offline, but now into Radion. Anno Rouge for the first time. Charlie has to sit behind M. Doran's going to lose the car. M. Doran straight into the barriers on that one, and that's him out of the race. Just pushed too hard through that first corner. But now Charlie has got Sammy the Pito, the teammate of Schofield, around the outside down towards the Lacom, and he gets the move done. Great move there from Charlie. We're under yellow at the moment, and CPI Alex, great move from White Fountain. He's got up in the inside at Lacom. We've got a yellow in Sector 1 and in Sector 2 now, so possibly the guys will have to watch out to make sure they didn't make any illegal moves. But Scott from 14th position already finds himself 8th.
Yeah, Zyman, I think he's also caught up in all that. He's running very slowly at the back with pretty much most of his front wing missing. So poor, I should say unlucky start for Zyman, because he did qualify well. But like you say, Scott, as he's eyeing up another move now on Lt Thompson and CPI Alex in one corner. He's just took 2 cars. Incredible from Scott. He is on a mission on those soft tyres.
I'm sure the guys in front will be watching the mini map. As we've got a Toro Rosso almost losing it there on the exit of Paul Frere, and that was Beck 9000, I believe, that almost lost the car. Agile Lockdown moves up into 4th position, but into Blanchard. Well, this is going to be close between. There's a whole gaggle of cars, the Red Bull and the Toro Rosso. How did they keep that on the track? That was unbelievable. As look at the fight that we've got going on for the top end of the back end of the top 10 at the moment. We've got the Ferrari of Speed Queen. She's got SJD, MJ Coupe, Beck, Meg Lugby, and Dragio for company, and these guys are absolutely fighting tooth and nail in the opening lap.
God, you want to look through the gaps in your fingers watching these. This is just incredible. They're heading into Eau Rouge now, side by side here. Oh my God, this is incredible racing.
Oh,
and we've got
huge crash, huge crash between Beck 9000 and Meg Luck, I believe it was. Trying to go side by side through Radion. The two came into collision, and it looks like Beck's car came back on circuit and straight into the path of M. Doran. It looks like M. Doran hasn't suffered with anything, but we're under yellow now. And I cannot believe that we haven't got a safety car for that one, because we've got two cars in pieces on the exit of turn 3. And yeah, unfortunately for Beck and Meg has just about managed to recover. It is severe wing damage though for the Red Bull, and that's going to really compromise this race. But yeah, it is one of those corners in this or in these cars side by side round through Radion and Eau Rouge. It's got to be something special, and you've got to make sure you give each other room, because unfortunately that is the end product if not.
Yeah, like I was saying, it's one of those you don't want to look, do you? Because you just felt like something was going to happen, and unfortunately something did happen, as we've got a yellow flag in sector 3. I'm not sure what to do. Oh, Dragio has gone off. This second McLaren has gone off at Paul Freyer, I think it is. He's coming back on now as Schofield and then Sam set the fastest lap, but he doesn't appear to have any damage, Dragio, so whether he's just lost it under braking or spun it somewhere, but Dragio's back out. Luckily for him, CP Alex is quite a bit back from him, so he's pretty much not lost much there, and he stays in P11.
And we've got Scott in 6th position now, all over the rear end in White Fountain. You see him closing, and coming up Radion. Oh, a whole twitch of the car there, but he's going to have to hold on to it. But he's going to get DRS this lap, and it's going to open up, and the car of the Silver Arrow flies around the outside of White Fountain. So Scott up into 5th position. It took him 3 laps to make up 9 positions.
Wow. Well, that move on both those cars just highlighted, didn't it, what sort of man on a mission he has been so far this race. You can't really rule him out at the minute for the race win the way he's flying at the minute, and it just proves that starting on those soft tyres is working a treat for him, because he's absolutely flying now. His next target will be Adrilokdok, who's running nicely in 4th. He's moved up 1 place from his starting grid. He's 2.5 seconds behind FPL Charles, so Scott will be looking to hunt him down next in that Toro Rosso.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a breakaway with the top 3 at the moment, with the 2 Haas cars and FPL Charlie sitting behind. And of course, these guys are pretty used to each other. We've seen them racing each other last week, of course, in Brazil, and once again they will be dueling it out on track. And Charlie 0.6 of a second behind Sam 0.8 of a second behind Scopefielder. So they've got a slightly healthy gap of 2.2 seconds over Adrilokdok, who's doing very nicely in 4th position. Of course, don't want to jinx him as we often do, but you can see the Toro Rosso coming out a shot there. But just behind the Toro Rosso and on the same straight as these guys now is Scott. And like you said, Scott has really decided to put the hammer down in this the early part of this race, and he is really making use of those medium tyres. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the dynamic of this race is with Scott on those different compounded tyres. What can he do compared to his teammate and the 2 Haas cars ahead?
No, Scott's on the soft side. I don't mean to,
on the soft. Sorry, I was looking.
Yeah.
I was looking at White Fountain. Sorry, I've just disappointed everyone.
I was watching White Fountain. Nick is now hounding White Fountain. He's going up around the... Oh, they touched the handles out from Nick in the cockpit. White Fountain and Nick touched, but Nick just about gets past White Fountain. Nick now up to 6th place. He'd been hounding White Fountain for a while and now managed to get the move done. A slight contact there, but Nick gets the move eventually done, and now he's up to 6th, hoping he can push on and try and chase after Scott.
Speed Queen sitting behind these two, just watching this battle nicely and hoping that these two mess around with each other to the point where Speed Queen can make up for it. And she's currently sitting just about a second off the pace, so she needs to get within DRS, of course, towards the end of this lap if it's going to make any difference down towards turn 1 and turn 2, but we've now got FPL Charlie 0.4 of a second behind Sam, going up through Blanchimont, and this is the closest he's been. Can he get any closer as they get up into the bus stop chicane? It would have to be a very late lunge here, but it looks like he's going to stick with it and stick behind and just stay in the tracks of the two Haas cars ahead, and he doesn't need to push hard too much already. You can just kind of stay with them, and it looks like these guys all have similar sort of pace at the moment. You can see DRS being used by the Haas of Samuel Pito on his teammate Scopefielder there. He's just about got a bit of a gap to Sam. Sam has got well, I say that gap between himself and Charlie is coming down and down and down. Charlie running over Radion and into Eau Rouge now will have DRS down the Kemmel straight. What can he do with it this time? Tucks in behind the Haas. It's going to be close. He's going to be much closer this time, but it looks like he won't be able to make the move once again. That DRS working perfectly for Sam, and at the moment Sam's using that DRS as more of a defensive tool rather than offensive.
Yeah, as we've got now White Fountain and Nick dueling again in exactly the same place. Only touch again. No harm for either of them. White Fountain getting a good run on Nick. He managed to keep within a second of Nick, so he got the DRS up the Kemmel straight and tried a move and nearly got the move done. There was a slight wheel bang again from both of them. Nick runs slightly wide at No Name, but White Fountain isn't giving up 6th place yet. Nick, he'd have been expecting to focus on going forward, but at the minute he's, like you say, using his ERS to defend at the minute from White Fountain, who's definitely not going to give up 6th place on those medium tyres.
No, so we've got a nice little battle going on between 1st and 3rd and between 6th through 8th at the moment, and then White Fountain just about holds on to the runner there. Looked like he was about to lose on the exit of Stavilo, but now up the back straight through Blanchimont. What can White Fountain do? Can he catch up, and can he try and re-engage this battle that these two have had around the Kemmel straight? And but it looks like he's dropped back a little bit. In fact, Speed Queen looks much closer to White Fountain this lap, and White Fountain going slightly deep into the bus stop chicane there, so that's going to hurt him because he's now got Speed Queen for company behind, and she's not had the best of seasons, has she? And she's really going to look to kind of impose herself, because at the moment she's been really struggling so far this season in sort of the mid pack.
Yes, definitely. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2. Oh, we've got Meglup is off again, so race goes from bad to worse for him, and Sam and Charlie battling up the Kemmel straight there, and Charlie not quite getting the move on. But yeah, going back to Speed Queen, it's the game and the season so far just hasn't really suited her, has it? And she'll be hoping to try and just push on and score as much points as she can from now to the end of the season. Just get this season over and done with, really, and use this season, I'd say, as a learning season for next season to push on and get back to where we all know she belongs, fighting at the front with the likes of Sam and Scopefield and Charlie and everybody else. So we've got a yellow flag in sector 3, maybe for, yeah, it's for Meg. Meg's had a big off and he's running slowly back to the pits. I imagine he'll be retiring once he gets there. But good battle at the front at the minute. Sam just outside of the DRS mark on Scope for a minute, so he will be having a fast Charlie bothering him very shortly.
Yep, Charlie just under 0.4 of a second behind him, and Sam doesn't have that DRS on Scope because he's dropped back by a second. So this is Charlie's perfect opportunity now. This is where he needs to make it count into these next few corners. Use the DRS down in towards La Source. In fact, is he going to make the move into La Source? You kind of want it. It's one of those tracks where you have to be strategic about your use of DRS here, because you don't want to make a move down into La Source, because the driver behind will just get you back down the Kemmel straight. So what he needs to do here is just sit behind Sam, try and get a perfect exit out of Eau Rouge, which he runs out slightly wide, which is going to cost him a little bit of time, but this is where he needs to really make it count. And of course you can see he has that DRS wide open. Sam unfortunately doesn't, but I think that exit out of Eau Rouge cost him there, because he dropped back just about 6 or 7 feet, so that by the end of the Kemmel straight he wasn't quite close enough to get that move done.
White Fountain once again all over the back of Nick in exactly the same place where Nick got the move done several laps ago. Speed Queen just dropped off slightly, not much, but just dropped off slightly. She lost a bit of time towards the end of the last lap, but she's keeping on the tail of Nick and White Fountain. But White Fountain's definitely not giving up on this, and he'll be hoping that Nick's tyres will be going off soon, and he can get this move done sooner rather than later and push on. Just further ahead, Scott, boy better know, he's not really made much of an impression on Adrelot yet. He's just gone under the 2-second mark. He can see him in front, but at the moment it's just baby steps to catch him up at the minute. Maybe saving his tyres to try and last, as we've got a yellow flag in sector 2. I'm not sure who that is, and it's Meg once again. So he's having a disaster of an evening for Meg. It's all went wrong earlier at Eau Rouge, and it's gone wrong again. So unfortunately for Meg, it's just one of those nights. I've been there, and I totally know his pain.
And it's brought out the VSC, so finally we get the stewards in action. And look at this, the front three have decided that they're all going to box. This is the perfect opportunity for them to come into the pit lane and change those tyres. So 6-7 laps on those soft tyres is all they need. In comes the McLarens. But what's going to happen is the two Haas cars are going to stack. Sam is going to lose a whole bunch of time here because we know game, the animations aren't particularly swift. And there goes Charlie. So Sam losing track position by a whole heap of time there because he's going to come out behind Adrelot.
Oh yeah, that was a bad call from Haas, wasn't it? You'd have thought they'd have left one out, especially as further ahead. Scott, Boybeno and White Fountain both stayed out. So White Fountain on those medium tyres at the minute, he's going to obviously be able to go longer than Scott, you'd imagine. But currently, Scott up 13 places. He is now leading the race. He's having a super race so far. I'd imagine within this lap or probably the next lap, he should be coming into the pits to change his tyres. But White Fountain looking in a good position at the minute on those medium tyres. You'd imagine he could go quite long. That's unlucky. Adrelot has picked up a 3-second time penalty. That could come back to haunt him for a possible podium place later on. But as you say, that phase, that VSC phase, has really cost Sam.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, it's tricky, isn't it? Because obviously you lose less time under a VSC, but once you've got your teammate in front of you, you've got to know that you're going to get held up in the pit lane, especially being that close to him. They were always going to stack, so Sam took a real big risk there, and I think luckily for him, unfortunately, Adrelot does now have that 3 seconds against his name, and I believe we saw Dragio and SJD pick up 3 seconds in a few laps ago as well, just to keep you up to date with the penalties. But yeah, it's a strange decision from Sam, just deciding to sacrifice possibly 5 or so seconds on that pit stop. And losing what is quite a lot of time now, because if he's going to catch back up to the Scope and Charlie, it's about 3 seconds he's got to go. So it's not going to be an easy task, and he's easily got the likes of MJ Cooper. Scott comes in off the soft tyres, he sets the mediums on. So he decided that I don't think he did get to the line before the VSC came in. So. That was an interesting one from Scott to not box under the VSC, but he stayed out and he's going to lose some time now, down to 7th position for him, as we've got MJ Coop now, who's being hounded by Adrelot, and Adri is going to get past, I imagine, down the Kemmel Straight, and he does. Coop tucks in behind, trying to catch up, getting a little bit more toe as they get down towards Lake Om. Coop got a little bit of swivel on coming out of La Source, and that cost him that, or really scrubbed off some speed. And in fact, he's just about held onto it. They just got onto the curb, unsettled the car, but now he's got Sam with the pito behind him, and Sam's going to want to clear him because MJ Coop on older tyres. He's gonna be a little bit of a rolling roadblock at the moment for Sam.
Yeah, well, as you see, the top 8 are all on the medium tyres, but does Speed Queen know something we don't about those medium tyres? She came in and she's put on the hard tyres, so does she think those medium tyres won't last until the end of the race? It's going to be interesting. She's gone for a different call. Can it work out for her and possibly be faster towards the end of the race on against those medium runners who will obviously have a lot more wear than she has towards the end of the race? So it's be an interesting one to keep an eye on, Speed Queen, to see if she can make this hard run work.
as Sam in the slipstream of MJ Coupe going around Blanchimont. This would be a brave move because you know that you have to really plant it, but he's going to try and stick around the outside. Does he lunge to the inside? No. Coupe covers off the inside, and Sam's going to have to go around the outside into the bus stop. Gets the move done. Great move there for Sam with the pito around the outside up into the bus stop. Shane Scope does the fastest lap of the race, immediately beaten by Adri with 1:47.3. But Scott now is going to, you can see this is really visualised how much time Sam lost in the pit lane, because before, as MJ Coupe kicks the rear end of that Red Bull out, and he let, by the looks of it, he's letting Scott just about to go side by side down towards Radion, but he does let him go through. But yeah, that does visualise how much time Sam lost, because he was fighting with one Mercedes and he's now fighting with the other, which was 3 positions below him.
Yeah, I don't think he expected to be fighting Boy Bettino, but now he's going to be. Boy Bettino is going to obviously now put the pressure on Sam. Sam, he's 2.2 seconds behind Adrian Lockdock, so if Scott can get within a second the next lap or so, he could have a real opportunity here to upset Sam and really upset Sam and push him further down the grid, which he doesn't want. So Sam's... He's on a bit of a recovery mission at the minute, and at the moment he's not really gaining on Adrian Lockdock.
No, it's a bit static as we're on lap 10 of 22, and we've got Scopefielder now challenging White Fountain. White Fountain yet to stop on the mediums, on a different strategy compared to the Swede of Scopefielder, and Scope is going to sit with White Fountain going up the hill towards the bus stop chicane into Blanchimont. Don't make any silly decisions here, Scope. He's going to try and do what Sam did a lap before, and White Fountain this time deciding to really battle with him and don't want to pick up any unnecessary wing damage there, and White Fountain not willing to give up position, even though he's probably not fighting. I say that, we saw what he did last week in Interlagos, but not fighting currently with Scopefielder for the lead of the race due to being on a different strategy. But Scope now, he's going to have to get this move done into the Kemmel Straight, because otherwise it's just going to start costing him time.
Oh, definitely, and White Fountain has every right, doesn't he, to fight this as MJ Coupe picks up 3 second time. But Scopefield now, full DRS. You would imagine this is an easy move on fresher tyres. It is an easy move on fresher tyres, and Scopefielder now retakes the lead. White Fountain will be hoping to keep with Scopefielder for this lap and try and get some DRS for the end of the lap, so he can keep a gap to FPL Charlie, who's 4 seconds behind Scopefield. So a bit of gap there for FPL Charlie on Scopefield. It wasn't that bad before the pit stop phase. So Scopefield now got the lead. Will want to try and kick on and keep that gap to Charlie behind, hopefully. But Whitefield is just staying there at the minute, just under half a second. So if he can, like I say, stay there, keep the DRS, it will make it much easier for him to try and keep a gap for later on when he does have to pit for fresh tyres, whether it be the softs or the hards.
Yeah, it does make me think, with Charlie having lost a little bit of time to Scopefielder, they weren't, as you said, they weren't that far away as they came into the pit lane. Did Charlie get held up by other cars coming in to make their stop? So possibly a little bit of a hindrance for the Mercedes there. So he's got a little bit of time to make up if he's going to catch up, and equally he's then got to pass White Fountain. And White Fountain's already made it pretty clear that he's not going to let anyone pass particularly easy this evening. We've got a little battle going on between MJ Coupe, Nick, Lt Thompson and Speed Queen. Nick getting past MJ Coupe down the Kemmel Straight on the last lap. Speed Queen, she's like you alluded to earlier, is on the hardest compounded tyre, so she's going to have much more tyre life later in the race, but she's got to catch up to MJ Coupe, who's on 10 lap old mediums, so the tyre life is probably about equal at the moment, and because of course those hards will be much slower than the 2 compounds ahead. But Speed Queen, she's currently sitting 4/10 as MJ Coupe goes wide going out of La Source, and that's gonna hold up Speed Queen. She's gonna be much faster. Does Coupe let her pass? No, he cuts across the last second there. So Speed Queen, she's having to play it pretty careful, but she will get the move done, I'd imagine, coming out of the of Eau Rouge onto the Kemmel Straight. We're watching the rear end, and now we're watching the front end of the Mercedes, but it is up into 8th position. MJ Coupe is dropped down to 9th. He's yet to stop, running on that same strategy as White Fountain, and he runs out onto the dirt, kicks up a load of dust and gravel there, but MJ Coop's currently sitting in 9th position, which, let's see, he's got a little bit of a gap between himself and SJD, so he might funnel out in around 12th, 13th position if he's lucky, but he will be quick at the end, which is what himself and White Fountain will be hoping for.
Talking of quick at the end, Scott Boybetter is hounding Sam now. He got DRS early in this lap down the Kemmel Straight, which brought him even closer. It's just under 0.3 of a second now as they're heading down towards the end of the lap. Sam is going to be under immense pressure now to keep hold of this 5th place. He didn't envision to be fighting for 5th. He thought he'd be fighting for race leaders. Sam is defending as much as he can. Scott weaving around at the back to try and he's just picked up a 5-second penalty, Scott, for corner cutting, and I was on board, and he did cut that corner pretty badly there, and that has probably cost him good points there, as he's just got you spoke about earlier, La Source. Scott has made the move done at La Source, but now is this going to cost him, because Sam is surely going to get the move done back at him through Eau Rouge, up Radion towards the Kemmel Straight. Surely Sam now will get the move done back on him, and he looks like he's picked the wrong time to get the move done. Scott is defending hard, but Sam gets the move taken back from Scott. He's back into 5th place, so a little bit of a rough few corners there for Scott, picking up that 5-second penalty and just picking the wrong moment to get the move done, and now he's finding himself stuck under the rear wing of that Haas again.
Yeah, it's all about that strategic use DRS here, and the Kemmel Straight is so much more powerful than it is down the main straight into La Source. You kind of just have to sacrifice that first DRS and use that first DRS to catch up to the car as Scott pushes the rear end of that Mercedes out of there, and he's lost a little bit of time, possibly frustrated after losing the position back to Sam, and we'll have the stewards look at that penalty. I believe it'll probably get rescinded back down because yeah, that is one of the harsher penalties we do see here in Spa as well as in Japan. Running over the chicane ends up picking you up 5, sometimes even a 10-second time penalty there. So yeah, you can put in your request to the stewards and they may rescind that penalty. But yeah, Scott now has the work to do again, back up behind Sam. And this is what he's going to do this lap. He's got to sit behind Sam, use this straight here just to catch up, stay with him, get a better exit. Like, he's got a better exit out of the corner there. Now just stay behind him. Don't make any rash decisions too early. Don't send it down the inside into the last horse, because the same thing will happen once again. And he doesn't. This time he stays with him, takes a wider line into last horse, which means that he's going to get good exit speed here. He's not too close to Sam that speed going up the hill is going to compromise him. He's going to be able to run up through Radion into Eau Rouge, and he just about holds on to it. That's going to lose him a little bit of time, but he will have DRS here. Now, can he get closer to the Spaniard head? Sam pulls to the inside early. Now, let's see. What is this Mercedes power going to do down the back straight? It's not enough so far, so that slight wobble in the exit of Eau Rouge has possibly cost him those few mile an hour that would have put him past the Haas, but he's having to sit behind Sam at the moment. We're on lap 14 of 22, so around 7.5 laps left to go for the leader, who is currently Scopefielder. Scopefielder leading from White Fountain, who is on a different strategy to the leaders. So FPL Charlie is in an effective second position at the moment. Adrian is in an effective third. However, he is sitting on a 3-second time penalty, so Samuel Pitto would currently be jumping above him. But Sam has, as we've been watching for the last few laps, has got Scott for company on pretty close quarters at the moment. So I'm sure Sam would like Scott to either fall back from him or get past and drag him on so he can try and catch up to Agilocdoc. And behind we've got Speed Queen. She got past MJ Coop, and Coop's now made his stop, so Coop down into 12th position. So watch out for him as Scott, you can see how close, in fact he's pushing the Haas along, going up into the fast stop chicane, goes down the inside. Can he get it slowed down? Just about, but once again, stick behind him, try and use that DRS. Now, does he go down into La Source? Because he's much closer this time. This is an overtaking move. He's going to think about it. He does put it down the inside. Sam's going to try and defend. but they're side by side. Sam just give him a squeeze on the exit, and this is going to be close. They're going to go side by side
Oh,
down
wow.
towards Eau Rouge. Who's going to back out? Scott backs out. Think about the Kemmel Straight. This is where he needs to get the move done, because Sam is going to run out slightly wide. So this is it. This is the opportunity for Scott to get past Sam. DRS wide open. Mercedes should absolutely soar past, and Scott up into 4th position.
Yes, that was a good battle, wasn't it? There, you kind of had a feeling that these two wasn't going to get tripping up over each other through Eau Rouge. You knew they were going to show respect amongst each other there, and they did. And Scott played it well, didn't he? There, he just kept behind Sam, so Sam didn't pick up the DRS, and it was an easy pass in the end for Scott. Now, can Scott now push on ahead as FPL Charlie? Oh, FPL Charlie's picked up a 3-second time penalty. That's not good for him. But as going back to Scott, can he now push on and go and chase after Adrotdok? What's a good thing after Adrotdok is these two are squabbling. It is pulled the gap out to 2.2 seconds. So at the minute, if these two could keep squabbling and that gap keep building, Adrotdok could potentially keep hold of 3rd place. But remains to be seen whether Sam can get back at Scott here. He's just within 0.6 of a second, so still within DRS range. Can he keep Scott honest, or is Scott now going to push ahead?
Absolutely. We've got a fantastic little battle going on between White Fountain and SJD at the moment. We've got 8th and 9th position, and they went side by side after White Fountain made that stop, and he came out of the pit lane, and SJD managed to get the move done. But White Fountain, of course, is on much fresher tyres. He'll be much faster, and we've already seen from White Fountain he's pretty vociferous with his offensive moves, and equally with his defensive moves. So he's going to want to clear SJD as quickly as possible, and DRS on for the Renault. But he manages, once, as we've discussed earlier, to try and stay behind the Alpha, and he's going to have to shadow him down through Eau Rouge and Radion. Oh, and SJD hits the wall there on the exit, and he's lost the front left end plate of his car. Really strange. Possibly was looking in his mirrors and didn't really pay attention, because he's just got out wide on the exit of La Source and just very carelessly hit the wall.
Oh, I didn't honestly see that, so that is unlucky for SJD. Lack of concentration maybe there. Simon picks up the fastest lap with a 1:46.6 in his Renault on the soft tyre. Sam is definitely keeping Scott honest. He picked up DRS up Kemmel Straight. He wasn't quite close enough. He got up to the back of the Mercedes, but coming now around the final sector of the lap, Sam still there as he's run very wide. Sam nearly onto the gravel, but Scott just cannot pull away at the minute from this Haas. So it's a good battle here at the minute for 4th place.
Yeah, want to break that DRS and as pretty much as soon as you can, but unfortunately it looks like Sam is going to stay with Scott. In fact, he's very close up going through Blanchimont. Does he make a move up into the bus stop chicane? It'd be a bit of a lunge from here. But yeah, he's going to stick behind. He's going to get DRS going up the main straight. Scott, it's a bit of a ropey way into the bus stop chicane, and that's going to cost him time on the main straight. But you can see both cars harvesting energy there, so possibly deciding to save a little battery. So that might be the reason why Scott isn't pulling away. Sam getting very close to the rear end of the Mercedes now, but you can still see the red lights of that Mercedes flashing away. So he is harvesting energy on the exit of La Source, and now it's time to put it back on, because he's going to have to defend from Sam, who looks like it might be roles reversed from what we saw a few laps ago. And it looks like the Haas car is going to be the one that sends it down the inside of the Mercedes. And Sam, it is up into 4th position. And these two trade positions once again.
It's a good battle, isn't it, between these two? Like you say, roles reversed this time, and now Sam takes back 4th place. Scott is not giving it up, though, is he? He's pretty much pushing Sam around this lap. This, by the way, is, again, like I pointed out, is helping Adrotdok out immensely. It's up to 2.5 seconds pretty much now. Sam is behind Adrotdok. So while these two keep squabbling, Adrotdok, if he could just push on, he can potentially get rid of that 3-second time penalty that he's picked up and claim 3rd place outright. So at the moment, Sam and Scott are doing Adrotdok a favour.
And of course, Andrew Lockdock picked up his first points last week in Brazil, so and he was delighted with that. So to pick up a potential podium, of course, we really don't want to jinx him, but to even be
No.
fighting in the top 5 is a superb result for the Spaniard, and he's got his countrymen following him by two. Now it's up to 2.4 seconds, but Scott is unable to have closed up, and he's back down to 8/10 of a second. So he's going to have to get a much better run out of La Source. Oh, it kicks the rear end out there, so that's going to lose him a little bit of time, and unfortunately SJD dropping outside of the top 10 after making that stop to change that front wing after his battle that we saw earlier with White Fountain. That's promoted MJ Coupe back up into the top 10, who's equally on those new soft tyres, going to be all over the rear end, and he is of CPI Alex for 9th and 10th, as Scott has lost a whole battle of time there. And I was looking at the sheets, but yeah, look, it's almost is over a second gap now between the two. So Scott possibly, yeah, you can see they're harvesting energy down towards Lake Com, so possibly hanging back a little bit. And we've got CPI Alex. He's going to have MJ Coupe for, just come on board with MJ Coupe, who decided to drift around La Source for us. So after making up all that time on CPI Alex, he's going to have to do it all over again, because that 4/10 of a second gap is now 2.2 seconds, and he had to lift through Radeon because those tyres were probably got a little bit hot, so they didn't have as much grip as he wanted. And of course, going into one of the most treacherous corners on the F1 calendar with tyres that don't particularly enjoy being on the car is not exactly ideal for these drivers.
No, definitely. I just want to say, by the way, it sounds like you've got a little bit of mic issue there. I don't know if you want to just to check that out a second. Just like you were saying, Scott, he's now lost the DRS as SJD picks up a 3-second time penalty there for multiple warnings. He's lost that DRS, so can now Sam now push on and chase after Agile Lockdock? It's still 2.3 seconds at the moment, so Agile Lockdock just about hanging on there. It's not going to be enough to keep hold of third place while Sam doesn't have a penalty. But yes, the Scott has he maybe just took too much out of those medium tyres, or is he, like you say, potentially harvesting and trying to save up for an end of lap goers? We've got a yellow flag in sector 2 as Simons had a big off. He's had a huge off, Simon. He's took a huge chunk of his front wing out there, and that's demoted him all the way down to 13th. I think he was around there anyway, but unfortunately for Simon, he had a good qualifying, but race, it's just not happened for him, and he's going to potentially come in to retire or get a new set of soft tyres. But that front wing not looking healthy for him on that Renault.
Hopefully my microphone is back and working. Feel free to let me know if it's not. And obviously the heat isn't doing it too well at the moment. Might have to have to invest in a new one for the second half of the season. But Agile Lockdock up into third position, only 1.8 seconds now behind FPL Charlie. So Charlie has been able to make any inroads on Scopefielder. Agile Lockdock on the charge.
Yes, he is, and can he upset Charlie? Because like you say, Charlie just has not recovered, has he? In the second phase of the race, he was right up there with Scopefielder. Charlie, who, if I recall, has also got a 3-second time penalty here. So if Agile Lockdock could overtake Charlie and gain some a position over him, he would, in theory, net himself a podium. But unfortunately, as we talk about Agile Lockdock there, it's dropped down to 2.4 seconds now. So he's had a bit of an issue towards the end of this lap for Agile Lockdock, which has allowed Sam now to really bring that time down. It's down to 1.5 seconds now. So Sam can firmly see that Toro Rosso. So as we've got another yellow flag in sector 2. Can't see who that is for, but yeah, Sam now will be definitely smelling blood and on the hunt for a Toro Rosso.
Yeah, it was out of Paul Frere at turn 15. Agile Lockdock just got out onto the gravel, and it's one of those corners, and it's happened to me before in the past. You just run out slightly wide, and the barrier just comes at you, and you have to really lift, because otherwise he was going to have a meeting with the yellow and red crash barrier there. But that has possibly called curtains on Agile Lockdock's charge for a podium, because, yeah, as you said, with that 3-second time penalty, unless Sam picks up something in the next lap and a half, it looks like he's going to make it another podium and make it 4 out of 6 races. So yeah, it's going to be a good first half of the season. It's SJD retires out of 12th position, down in sector 3, possibly in the pit lane. We'll see. He was well outside of the points there, so possibly deciding to call it a bit early and go for a cold bath and just cool off a little bit. And that's currently meaning that, yeah, at the moment you can see that's a big gap between MJ Cooper and Dragio. So we've got yellow in sector 1. That might, yeah, I imagine is SJD's car exiting the pit lane, as that makes the current grid 12 runners.
Yeah, I was just looking through the race director. Currently, Sam is only sitting on one warning, so he's, as boy better know, he's picked up another penalty at the bus stop chicane again. That's 3-second penalty now. So, unfortunately for Scott, if he could catch up with Sam, he's not going to claim that 4th place tonight. But he's had a good race though, hasn't he? From near the back of the grid, he's done well to recover, and I'm sure he'll be happy with scoring good points from where he started. But unfortunately for him, he won't be scoring anything better. Will that, if Nick can gain any time on Scott, will that promote Nick up to 5th place? Because Nick's 7.9 seconds behind Scott, so potentially Nick could steal 5th place from Scott, as White Fountain is going around the outside of Speed Queen, and White Fountain now on those much newer and quicker tyres takes 7th place.
Yep, we're on the penultimate lap of the race, 21 of 22, the Belgian Grand Prix, round 6 of the Invictus No Assist Championship, and it is Scopefielder leading the way by 3.6 seconds to FL Charlie. Charlie, of course, sitting on a penalty. Adrilokdok sitting on a penalty. So Sammy the Pitto is due to at least get himself up into 3rd position, barring a last lap disaster. Scott, as you were just talking about, won't be making any further moves up the field due to the fact that he's sitting on 8 seconds at the moment, with that 5 seconds which may get rescinded. We'll see, as Simon sets the fastest lap of the race down in 12th position. So what that will do is, I believe he had it anyway, but it does mean that it takes away the extra lap point for anyone that could have got it inside the top 10. So I imagine White Fountain would have eyed that one up when he came in for those soft tyres. So yeah, Simon steals that one from the guys inside the top 10, but we're on the final lap of the race. Scopefielder leads us round for it. Can he make it another victory after his one in France and make it a 2nd in a row? And equally, that would make it through the last 4 races. Scopefielder will have finished 1st, 2nd, 2nd and 1st. So a cracking end to the first half of the season for Scope.
Yeah, definitely. He is the man in form in this league and in his F1 league. As I'm just round on board with Sam now. He's within a second of Adrilokdok. He's not quite close enough to get the move done. I imagine he'll be following Adrilokdok around now to the finish line. Not do any silly mistakes. Just make sure he gets that podium position secure. Doesn't want to pick up any wing damage or do any silly moves. He'll probably just follow him around now, knowing that Adrilokdok's got that penalty, and he can claim that 3rd place like that. Nick just behind Scott, by the way, is got the gap down to 7.2 seconds. So potential Nick could steal 5th place here from Scott, which would be very frustrating for Scott.
Yeah, you've also got White Fountain closing that gap rapidly between himself and between White Fountain and Nick. So we've seen what White Fountain can do in the dialing embers of the race, but it will be Scopefield who's coming up the back straight now, and will go on board with the Hash driver, and we'll try and keep in touch with what's happening between Sammy the Pitto and Adrilokdok down into the bus stop. And I'm sure Scopefielder will not care about what his teammate's doing, because he's going to come across the line as he kicks the rear end out to celebrate a fantastic victory. And Scopefielder crosses the line, takes the win here in Belgium. It's going to be Charlie on the line. What happens on penalties? Adrilokdok is going to unfortunately drop down to 4th position. A real shame for him, but Sammy the Pitto goes up in 3rd. Scott is in 5th. Scott is in 5th. What happens between Nick and White Fountain? It is Nick takes 5th, goes ahead of Scott, so he does manage to jump Scott into 6th. White Fountain 0.3 of a second, so that was lucky for Scott that he didn't even drop more points there. But like I said, we'll see if the points are rescinded or the penalties rescinded post-race. It's going to be Speed Queen in 8th position. CPI Alex is currently in 9th, with MJ Coop will be picking up the final point in 10th position, which I'm sure he'll be delighted with after the qualifying session he had. And so yeah, that is your top 10. Dragio will be finishing in 11th position, finishing with a flourish in the McLaren there as he drifts his way in and out of the bus stop chicane, comes across the line in 11th place, whilst we will be on board with Simon 118 as he comes up the back straight on the exit of Paul Frere all the way up through Blanchimont, and Simon will be sitting there with the knowledge that he could have gone faster if all didn't go wrong. And unfortunately his race ended pretty much as soon as it started. He's picked up the fastest lap of the race, which is once again another what could have been for Simon, and I'm sure he'll be very frustrated as the Renault, as you can see, very displeased with his race, puts it into the wall, and in fact loses a rear tyre, which is something you don't regularly see in F1 2019. But Simon in 12th position.
Big congratulations to Schofield. Like I said earlier, he's the man on form at the moment. Incredible drive in the end. It was a comfortable drive towards the end, wasn't it? He after the pit stop phase, he was never under any pressure whatsoever. Didn't pick up any penalties and made it a very, very comfortable win. His teammate Sam jumping up to 3rd place. Overall, once again, another good race for the Haas team. They are easily the team to beat this season, but FPL Charlie will feel a bit frustrated, won't he? Because he'd probably thought he should have had pole position, and then the pit stop phase just cost him a little bit, and unfortunately it phased out to 2nd place. I'm sure he'll still be happy with 2nd place, but I think as well he could have potentially had 1st place as well today. So yeah, it's a case of what if for Charlie.
Yeah, and in fact their fastest lap was only split by 0.04 of a second, so it shows how close those guys were. But Scopefielder takes the win ahead of Charlie. Sam with the Pitto is in 3rd. Fantastic result for Adrian Lovedock in 4th, with Nick Lt Thompson once again in 5th, up there in the top 5. Scott in 6th, with White Fountain in 7th. Speed Queen 8th, with CPI Alex in 9th. MJ Coop in 10th, with Dragio and Simon in 11th and 12th. And we lost SJD, Beck 9000, M Doran and Meg Lugby early in the session. Yeah, it'll be once again a frustrating evening for Scott. Started the race in absolutely explosive fashion, managed to get his way all the way up from 14th into 8th by the end of the first lap, and then made a pretty sensational double overtake around the outside into turn 13 at Fane Corner. So yeah, it's another frustrating evening for Scott. But as you said, yeah, Charlie will be a little bit disappointed after losing out on his pole position here. But yeah, it's the Haas boys, isn't it? Who can stop them at the moment? Because they seem to be running away with it. Especially in the Constructors' Championship, these two guys are really on form.
Yeah, they really are. And while ever they keep picking up all these podiums as they do, you can't see past Haas for the constructors this season. It's been very dominant. Sam, he's pretty much living on that podium, and Schofield he's white hot at the minute, isn't he? He's pretty much unbeatable at the moment. If he's not winning the race, he's in 2nd place. So yeah, it's going to take something special for the second half of the season, I think, from the likes of FPL Charlie or Schofield to put a dent in this current form from them two.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting second half of the season. We go for a 1-week break next week, so no racing at all next week here on F1 2019. So enjoy the week off, and then we will be back the week after that for the Australian Grand Prix for round 7. But of course, it's not the only racing we have here this week. We've got the Realistic Performance League tomorrow night here on Tuesday 8 p.m. on twitch.tv, where Tim and Malk in the commentary box. And then on Wednesday night, you've got the Equal Performance Leagues F1, F2 and F3. So plenty more racing on F1 2019. And equally, as I was saying earlier in the stream, you've got GT Sport on Thursday night nights, and now on Sunday nights, GT Sport will be running a DTM league on Thursday nights and a WEC style LMP1 league on Sunday nights. So if you want to get involved in that, make sure you check out the website invictusracingleague.com, go to the apply to race section and get yourself on the grid as soon as you can. But as the guys have all joined us in the box for post-race interviews, just like to start and say congratulations to you all, but congratulations to Scope Fielder. That must feel a lot better after losing the race on the line last week.
Yeah, this race felt really good, so I'm really happy with the win. I think I had great pace like all race long, so a bit surprising considering I only had like a 15 minutes of practice and haven't really driven this track before on like this game, but pace seems to be there, so I'm really happy with the win.
Yeah, it was a cracking race from you, and that makes it your last 4 races. That's 2 wins and 2 second place finishes. You're enjoying yourself at the moment. You seem to be in good form.
Yeah, the pace has been really good like lately. It's a shame I couldn't like pull out the win in Brazil. Was also kind of disappointed at not getting the win in Japan, but that was like I wasn't the fastest on track there, so nothing to say about that. But yeah, the season has been developing pretty good lately, so I'm happy.
And we're going to a little bit of a break now before the second half of the season. Is it just a case of practicing over the break, or will you be taking time off to recover?
I'll be taking time off. I think I'm a bit worn out with this game already, so yeah, it will be good with a week off.
Yeah, don't blame you at all. And yeah, congratulations, absolutely brilliant win tonight. Really enjoyed that one. On to second place and Charlie. And God, that was close in qualifying. I bet you're a little bit disappointed with that one. Yeah, it's we're pretty sure the real rules are that the person set the time first should have actually started on pole position there. So I think you've got a reason to be aggrieved. So. So, how did you feel? Because it felt like you made up the position in the pit lane with the 2 Haas cars stacking. Did you get held a little bit? Because it seemed like you came out a few seconds behind Scope. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a good result. It's another podium for you. So you're getting back on track after the start to the season that you had. So what's realistic for the second half of the season? Are you still aiming for wins, or is it just being consistent? Yeah, well, it's the championship's looking pretty close after the end of that one. So you've thrown your name back into the hat and you've closed right up. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about that one because that's 16 points you've picked up tonight, and so I'm pretty sure that elevates you up into second position in the championship. So you're well in it. So congratulations, and on to Sam. Sam, back on the podium. How does that one feel? Because you had to fight for that one. You had to double stack in the pit lane, which was a brave strategy, and then obviously you had that fight with Scott, which seemed like it could have gone either way.
Yeah, exactly. After finishing P4 in Brazil, and I was leading in Brazil, like I thought I would win the race. This feels good. I mean, a podium is a podium, but yeah, the double stack just hurt a lot. Um, I was with Scope in the party, and we had everything organized with the pit stops. But yeah, that double stack just put me in P5, I think, behind Adriloktok and Charlie. And yeah, I just had to push as hard as possible. Yeah, and then I had a good battle with Scott. It was just tense because Scott was on my DRS all the time, so he was really pushing also. But then I saw him doing a mistake, so I pushed a lot. I used all my ERS to get away from him. And yeah, and then Scopes told me in the last laps that Charlie got a 3 second time penalty, so I was pushing like hell, and I just got 4/10 of P2. So yeah, nice race considering that that incident in the pit lane. But yeah, feels good. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great race from yourself, and like you said, you came out behind Lt. Did you know that he was sitting on a penalty, or were you coming across or coming to the end of the race knowing that you had to try and get past him?
Yeah, I knew, but he was fast, incredibly fast. He really surprised me. Um, and yeah, I knew he had a penalty, but I still wanted to pass him to, I don't know, just be sure to get the podium, or at least be behind Charlie and putting the pressure on him. But yeah, I just couldn't do anything more. I just was pushing.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, great race, back on the podium. So more great points for the Haas team. And just finally finishing up, one more question for Scopefielder. 1 week break, as you said, you'll be taking time off and just recharge the batteries a little bit. But we've got Australia next up. Is it a track you enjoy, or it's quite a tricky circuit, especially to overtake on?
Yeah, I've never really been fast at Australia, so not really looking forward to that track. But with some practice, it should be all right. So we'll see how it goes. Uh,
Well,
yeah, not my favorite track, so.
Well, it's going to be 6 more races of, if I imagine you three pushing each other along with Scott and White Fountain. I'm sure we'll be seeing up in the podium. So congratulations, you three! Fantastic race this evening. You're free to leave if you so wish. And yeah, it was. I believe that is Scopefielder that takes the championship lead with that win tonight. But it's very close between himself, Scott, and FPL Charlie, and equally Sammy Pito moves up into a championship position. So it's the top four looking mighty close for the next 6 rounds of the championship. And Sab, as we look back over that race, it was well, we saw a fantastic qualifying result with the two split by absolutely nothing, but it was a real classy finish for Scopefielder to just lead from the front and just control it.
Yeah, definitely. He ended up cruising towards the finish line at the end there, didn't he? Picked up a good win and goes into the break now on very good form, as we pointed out earlier. It's I'd like to say to all the guys, really, this first half of the season has been absolutely pleasure to watch. There's been some absolutely immense overtaking. Scott tonight, for example, that double overtake was incredible from him. There's been some brave moves, and they've worked out well. And there's also been some good battles throughout the whole field, not just at the front as well. So I'm hoping more of the same after the week break, because so far this season it's been an absolute joy to watch.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's been a real fun one, and really enjoyed it as always with yourself in the commentary box. And yep, as you say, it's a week long break, so these guys get a chance to recharge the batteries. Equally, so do we. We get to rest our voices. I'll be doing it by heading out to Milan and watching the Italian Grand Prix. So hopefully we'll be enjoying that one out there. But I'll be back in the commentary box. In fact, I fly back just in time to join you for Australia. So. That one should be an interesting one, because Australia, a track that doesn't particularly promote overtaking, so once again strategy might come into play. But after that, we've got China, Bahrain, Singapore, Canada and Germany, so plenty of tracks on the calendar that these guys can get their teeth into. But as I said, you can join us tomorrow night for the Realistic Performance League, 8 p.m. with Malk and Tim in the commentary box. And then on Wednesday, F1, F2 and F3, 3 equal performance leagues. If you want to get yourself on the grid, go to the website, invictusracingleague.com, go to the Apply to Race section and get yourself involved in the Invictus community. And equally, if you want to get involved in GT Sport, we race on Thursdays and on Sundays. Thursdays, DTM, Sundays, LMP1. And so, yeah, that will be starting very soon. And it's been a fantastic one. If you'd like to follow Sab and I on Twitter, it is at Alan Sabatino for Sab. I got it right this time. I couldn't do it in the podcast
Yay.
last week. And at GT2_driving for myself. And equally, if you'd like to listen to the podcast that Sab and I do, it's on a Thursday night. We stream on Twitch, 8 p.m. We've recorded it live there, but it is uploaded to Spotify, SoundCloud, and iTunes afterwards. So if you want to listen back, you can follow the streams on there. Equally, if you'd like to support the league, you can go to the Invictus section on the website and donate. And if you are a member of the community and a driver, you will get certain perks that come along with that. And equally, you can follow and subscribe to these Twitch channels. So you can subscribe to our Twitch channel. You can use Amazon Prime. You get 1 month free subscription. You don't pay a penny, but we get the monetary value of that subscription for the month. Equally, you can click subscribe and just donate in general, which helps us get bigger and better and provide our community with a lot more interesting things. We've got hopefully some big plans in the pipework for Invictus for later in the year and early into 2020. So a lot of interesting stuff to keep your eyes on and get ready for. But thank you very much from Sab and I for this first half of the season. It's been a real pleasure to bring it to you. We hope you've enjoyed it, whether you're watching it, whether you're driving in it. We hope you had a great time, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time in Melbourne. Good evening.